We'll continue that tomorrow. Okay. What we got up to? Oh, Nun Chesam Vadal.
Yeah, the top.
Yeah, Nun Chesam Vadal for about 1, 2, 3, about 10 lines. Um, yeah, okay, so Ashkechinu, Lamar Yehuda Rav Yosef, yeah? About 12 lines down. So we were discussing the things that are also bahana, specifically to be mekadesh and isha with things that are also bahana. So with the last Gemara, the Gemara left off with is taking chulin shenishatu ba'azara, and then being mekadesh and isha with that, right? So that's also bahana. So you're not allowed to be mekadesh and isha with it, right? Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. So Ashkenu Mar Yehuda Rav Yosef. Right, Yehuda found Rav Yosef and Rav Shmuel Bered Rabba Racham at the Hapukaimi a Pischa de Rabba. They were sitting by the door of Rabba of Rabba's yeshiva. Amar Lahu Tanya. So he said to him, Tanya, Mekadosh for Peter Chamor. If you Mekadosh for a Peter Chamor, right, meaning the donkey that's supposed to be redeemed, the basa b'chalav with meat and milk. And so all these three, our Mishnah said you cannot be Mekadosh and Isha with. And here he came and he said over this Bryson that Reb Shimon are Mekudeshes. Reb Shimon holds you could be Mekadosh. So we had this on the previous Amud that Reb Shimon holds that opinion Peter Chamor, or actually the Peter Chamor is not also Bahana. And he also held that Basa B'chalav is not also Bahana.
Not Asubana.
According to Reb Shimon, it's not. Yesterday's daf, Reb Shimon held that it's not. Right? And then the last one was Chulin Shenesh Ch'tuv Azar. Right? Because he doesn't learn the last limud, that it would be Asr Bahana. Whatever it is, that's what Reb Shimon holds. These three he holds Amut Bahana. But Chamarim ain't a Mekudeshes. She's not Mekudeshes, like we learned in our Mishnah, right? Our standard says the Chum. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but could you explain to me why there's a din about chulin? How many that happened a lot? I mean, to me, I would say that's like what do you call Ben Sarah Mara? Why would it be chulin shechted in the English? Why?
Yeah.
Why did anybody do that?
Why would they do that? I mean, there should be enough meat rolling in the base of Mikdash anyways. Yeah. Right. It's it's like when my wife makes supper and they order in anyways, right? My kids. That's exactly what you said. We got enough meat here, and then you go and a chanami. I don't know. Well, let's see from the next Gemara. Maybe answers your kasha. Maybe let's see. But I don't know if it has to be a common thing or not. But let's see. So it's again what our Mishnah learned as Pashat Aser, Reb Shimon holds as mutter. Must be according to him. If somebody shechts chulin in the Beis Hamikdash, it's not a deraisa.
If it's Yaakov, if it's not common, then they wouldn't be geyser on it.
Oh, welcome back, Akiva. It's been a while. Good to have you back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But if it's like shliach, then you wouldn't be geyser in this case, no?
I don't know if it's a gezerah. It's not a gezerah.
It is. Rashi says if you hold it's not the right, it has to be a gezerah.
Oh, and a chanami. No, and a chanami. If
it's not common, then why are they geyser?
No, because that's according to Reb Shimon. The Chachamim would hold that it's badai also.
No, of course, it's asim deraisa, even if it's not common. I'm just saying, if it's not common to have done this, then why is Reb Shimon being geyser? That's what I'm asking.
I hear. It's a good point. So anyway, so he holds chulin shenesh mazara is not a deraisa, right? So Gemara asks, "Raminu Reb Shimon Omer chulin shenesh mazara yisrafu." You have to burn it, meaning burn it as opposed to what? Burn it as opposed to burying it, right? So if you have to burn it, that's a higher level. Meaning there are certain things that are also about no that you could just bury. I don't remember the list right now, but when it buries, there's a chashash nichshol. Somebody could unbury it, uncover it. But burning, something that needs to be burned, that there's nobody. Even if somebody uses it after it's burned, it's not considered the original thing.
Basav Cholov, sure, in Niskal, they have a dinner kavora also.
Correct.
Right. So we ever worry about somebody's going to dig up a cheeseburger, or they're going to dig up a piece of short Niskal?
I don't know. They don't make you burn it.
So the dinner is the kavora, to be koiver. That's why.
What?
The din is that they have to be nikvar. They have to be
correct.
So, but does anybody make a gezerah on that maybe someone's going to dig up?
I guess they're not as concerned. I don't know why there's some that are just buried and some Isra know that are burnt. I don't know why some yes, some no. I thought
isn't that machlekes tonight? Which one's more chashuv in kachim?
What burying
or burning? Rabbi Yehuda, I think so. Rabbi Yehuda and I don't think it's. I think it's machlekes.
Is it? It wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. I thought it's pashut that I thought pashut that burning is more. Okay, but I in the Rashi goes through the sugya either way. But the Gemara is saying, "Reminu Reb Shimon Aimer Chulin Shenesh Bazara Yisuf." It has to be burned. V'chein chaya shenishkata ba'azara, and a chaya that got shefted in the azara also gets burned. So you see that if he holds that you need it to be burned, then it must be that it's a deraisa. They're not going to do that on a derabbanan. So Ishtiku, he was quiet. But they asked the bomb kasha on Reb Shimon. So also look the Rabbah. They came in front of Rabbah. Remember, this whole thing happened outside Rabbah's yeshiva. So also look the Rabbah. Amralu, he said to them, Palgo Akminchu. The Palga, meaning the Rashi calls him a contran. I think there's the word contrarian. Is that what contrarian comes from? I just thought of that now. Yeah. Rashi calls him a contran, meaning the guy that always asks. There's always that guy, right? There's always that guy that's always saying fakert from what the everybody else is saying. So he's a contran. That's what Rashi says. It must be contrarian. That's what I think. Right? He's rogil lachlik al chaverov. Right? You tell him it's day, and you know that guy. There's always that guy. You tell him it's day, he's going to tell you it's night. How he's going to figure that out? He's going to figure it out, but he's going to come out that it's night. So he's saying so Rabbah says, I see he got to you. Right? What are we talking about here? This is the teretz. What happened is, this is a very interesting chiddush. It's talking about where they shechted the chulin in the azara, and then they found it to be a treifa. Okay, but you still shechted chulin in the Beis Hamikdash. But no, Reb Shimon letamei, the Tanya sheichet is a treifa. Reb Shimon holds that if you shech the treifa, meaning something that you know for sure is a treifa, v'chein hasheichet. Right, Rashi says it's recognizable that it's treif. Right, v'chein hasheichet v'nimtza treifa, and same thing if you shecht an animal and then you find that it was a treifa, zeh b'zeh chulin ba'azara. Right, then the Tanakama says that's still considered chulin and azara because you shechted non-kachim in the Beis Hamikdash. Reb Shimon mater bahana, but Reb Shimon says it's muter bahana. But the Chachamim say it's asa. Right, so why does Reb Shimon say that it's muter bahana? Because he says that's not the shchita that the Chacham that the Torah aser. Meaning, a shchita that would be mater an animal to be eaten, that would be considered shchita in the Beis Hamikdash. This shchita is not being mater an animal to be eaten because it couldn't be eaten. It was a treifa.
Yeah, so it can't be eaten by a yid, but a yid can sell it to a guy.
Well, that's Shimon. According to Reb Shimon, it's muter ba'ana because this shchita didn't do anything. Right? And the
it took it out of Iver Minachai.
Right,
took it out of me, Iver Minachai.
Right. So what Rachman is saying is that, meaning sometimes, let's say you have an animal that's a treifa. Now, treifa and nevela have two different isurim, right? So when you shech the animal, is it a nevela or is it a treifa? Right? So normally it would make a difference. But Reb Shimon's saying here, for since this animal was treif anyways, and you're gonna make it now, what are you doing? Meaning you're making it not a nevela, right? It's because if you let it die, then would have a din nevela, but you're shechting it. But since that shrita was meaningless, out making it kosher, therefore it's mutter v'hana. So that's what's going on here. Meaning, Enochanami, Reb Shimon would taka hold that if a guy takes a regular cow from Chulin and shechts it in the Beis HaMikdash, Reb Shimon would agree it's also ba'ana, you cannot marry a woman with it. When do we say that Reb Shimon says it's mutter? That's talking about where the animal that they shechted was a treifa. And there he holds it's mutter ba'ana. Since it's mutter ba'ana, so you're allowed to marry a woman with it. Yeah, fine. Fine. They're machar mekiddush with the man mekudeshes. So then we said with all these things that if he sold it and then he was makadasher with the money, then it is a good kiddushin, right? Because it went out from its iser hana. Meaning, you take basar b'challah and you sold it, right? Somebody gave you a present of basar b'challah. Now you're not supposed to get hana from it, but you didn't know that, so you sold it to your coworker, and they gave you $1. Now that dollar does not get the Isra Hana on it. And therefore, if you Makadash an Isha with that $1, then it's going to be a fine Kiddushin. Right? Minalan. So how do we know that the Kiddushin works? Because when the Torah tells us by Avodah Zarah, it says Vayisa Cherem Kamayim. If you're going to have Avodah Zarah, you're going to be in Cherem just like the Avodah Zarahs. So Kol Sha'atamiyam Himenu Harehu Kamayim. What we dash now from that is that anything from the Avodah Zarah also retains Avodah Zarah status. Right? Meaning, if you take Avodah Zarah, you take a getchka, and you sell the getchka for $100, and now you have $100 cash. That $100 is not allowed to be used. That's also bahana. It keeps the can kicking down the road with Avodah Zarah. Right? So Mamela was saying Mechlal the Chol Yisurim Shabbatayra Shor, with every other Isser in the Torah does not retain its Isser as it gets kicked down the road. Right? So again, Avodah Zarah, right? Avodah Zarah, if you sell Avodah Zarah, the money that you made now becomes Asa. All other Isurim in the Torah, like Basar B'chalav, if you sold the McDonald's, the Big Mac, right, and you took the money, that money is mutter b'hana. Okay? So, and we know that from Avodah Zarah. Since Avodah Zarah, it says Aser, so everything else must be mutter. So what's the obvious question? So why don't we learn out from Avodah Zarah? Why don't we say, just like Avodah Zarah retains its Isser, even when you sell it, so every other Isser should also, because Avodah Zarah and Shemitah are two ksuvim that say the same thing. And whenever you have two psukim saying the same thing, then we can't learn anything out from it. Right? Meaning, because if the Torah meant to learn everything out from Avodah Zarah, should have just said about Avodah Zarah, and that's it. Since it decided to say this din by Avodah Zarah and by Shemitah, so must be it's specific to those two, and no other isur. Right? So Avodah Zarah, Avodah Kacham Hadamara, that we just said that if you sell Avodah Zarah, the money still stays off. So what about Shvius? Shvius Maihi, and this still comes up now because last year was Shemitah. 2 years ago. 2 years ago. 2 years ago was Shemitah, right? Wasn't yeah.
I think it was last year. No,
last year. Why are we having a problem with the Esrogim last year? Usually, isn't the year after Shemitah we have the problem with the Esrogim? I don't know, whenever it was.
Years
So
ago.
meaning you have the wine. Some people are still having Shemitah wine, right? So Shvius Mahi, what are we talking about? Shvita Yovel he kedusha kadosh tia lechem. It's considered Yovel, and it's Kodesh, and it should be Kodesh. You ma Kodesh typhus is dama. So Kodesh grabs onto its money. That's the literal translation. Av Shvius tefes is dama. So Shvius also does, right? So what does this mean? So ima, before we explain what ima Kodesh typhus is dama v'yotze lechulin, but Kodesh, hektish is typhus is money, but it goes out to chulin. Af shvius typhus dam of dameh v'yotzel chulin. So shvius should also go out to chulin. Tamalaymer tia b'v'yosete. It's always going to stay that way. Meaning, the Gemara is saying, well, kodesh is typhus is dam of, but the original thing goes out, right? If you have an animal of hektish, right? We had this a few times the last few days. You have an animal of hektish, and you're paid it, right? So the money becomes kodesh, and the animal becomes not kodesh, right? So we're saying by Shemitah, it's different. By Shemitah, they both stay kodesh. By Avodah Zarah and Shemitah, they both stay holy, right? Ketzad, lokach peiros shvius basar. Let's say you took your peiros shvius and you bought meat with it. Elu mispayim b'shvius. They both have to get burned when at the end of the time that there's a certain time where you have to stop eating peiros shvius. Now, what do I mean by peiros shvius? The fruits and vegetables that grew by themselves. So you have up until the animals in the field, it runs out of the animals in the field, then you have to get rid of them in your house, from your house, right? So if a guy takes these fruits of shvius and he buys meat with them, so the fruits stay kedusha shvius, and now the meat is also kedusha shvius, right? And then he goes and he takes the basar dogim. So now, then he takes the basar and he buys fish with it. Yatsa basar. Now the basar goes out of Shemitah, the nichnas dogim, then the fish do. So now you have the original fruits that have kedusha shvius, and you have the fish. The dogim yayin. Then he takes the fish and does yayin. Yatsu dogim nichnas yayin. The yayin shemen with wine and then oil. Yatsa yayin nichnas shemen. Okay, tzad achar nitvas b'shvius. The last thing gets grabbed onto the shvius. Uperiatzmi also, and the actual fruit is also. So again, by Shemitah, the actual fruit always stays kedusha shvius, and then the last thing that was exchanged also has shvius, right? Which is why, if you go to Costco sometimes and they have fruits or vegetables that come from Eretz Yisrael the year after shvius,
the peppers,
right? What?
The peppers always.
The peppers, right? If they're not grown hydroponically, right? But right, so the peppers.
But that last thing, that's also kedusha shvius, right? Does that also have that same time limit that you have to get rid of it, or is that only the actual fruit itself?
No. It has to be said. It has to get. You have all the restrictions of shvius. So now the thing is like this. So now you bought the peppers, and now it's shvius. So what's the initial reaction? You're going to return it. You can't return it, right? Because you have peiros shvius now. You give good. They want to return it. Now the money they give you back has kedusha shvius, right? So now theoretically you could take that money and buy meat with it, right? Then that money will go out from kedusha shvius, but now the meat's going to become kedusha shvius, right? So that's the practical applications of this Gemara. Whatever it is, so Shemitah does this and Avodah Zarah does this. So Mamela, since the Torah felt to do it by both two different things, therefore we don't learn anything out from it.
Is there a legal loophole like using the money to buy some davar kedusha, a davar mitzvah?
I don't think so. Unless
You want to know if you give the money away for tuition or tzedakah,
right? But then I don't think so.
Kiddushin is a mitzvah, so Vaista is not.
No, right, and Hanami, it's a mitzvah, but no, I'm saying you could do it, but then it's going to just retain its kedusha shvius. That's all. right? Okay. Fine. So then Gemara asks, this all goes according to Mandam. It says two psukim that teach the same din. We don't learn anything out of it. According to Mandam, it says that we do learn it out. What are we going to say? So Gemara says, there's a miyut. It says here by Avodah Zarah, it's cherem. Uksiv hasam yoivel he. He in midachrini loy. It's only those things and nothing else. Only those Shemitah / yoivel and Avodah Zarah keep their kedusha going, but not anything else.
Why don't you say Avodah Zarah yechiach on yoivel, on Shemitah?
Why should it?
This drush is only going to be Shemitah, no?
This, yeah. Well, it's by what do you mean? It's yoivel.
Sorry, yoivel. But my point is that Avodah Zarah is yechiach on the fact that it's not. The Gemara says we have a miyut, but you see, there's another place that has a similar idea of a Zarah.
I don't know.
I don't understand drushes, but like we're creating a miyut, even though we have another place that has it. When's that counteract? I don't know.
I have my rule with drushes, Akiva. If I understand the drusha, I am happy. I'm not going to rock the boat. Which I'm not saying I understand it, but at least they have that basic thing. Okay, so Zok the Mishnah, Makadosh b'trumas, b'maisras, b'matanas, u'b'meichatas, u'b'eferchatas. So if somebody's Makadosh a woman with trumas and maisras, that goes to the Kohanim and the Levim. Matanas is the matanas of the animals that go to Kohanim. Meichatas is the water that they're going to mix with the para aduma, and Efer Chatas is the ashes from the para aduma. If a guy is Makadosh a woman with that, then she is married Vafilu Yisrael. Even if the guy who's using it is a Yid, meaning a Yid, not a Yid, a Yisrael as opposed to a Kohen. Right? So we're going to say, okay, so what's a pshat? This is Akli Gemara Omar Ula. Toivas Hana ain't a moment. Toivas Hana is not money. Meaning, basically, this is the kickback Gemara. Right? Is there, meaning, a Yid, I'm about to give my Trumas and Maisus. Right? So I say, you know what? I'm going to give the Trumas and Maisus to this lady, and she's going to be married to me with this Trumas and Maisus. What do you mean? I'm not allowed to use it. I'm not allowed to use the Trumas and Maisus. I'm a Yisrael. Right? So what am I giving to the lady? I'm giving her what we call Toivas Hana. Now she has the ability to give it to any kohen that she feels that she likes, and then maybe that kohen will give her business. I don't know. Maybe she has a bakery or a home business, and whichever kohen she gives her the trumas to or maises to a Levi, they're going to do business with her. So there's something tangible here. Well, that's the Gemara's question. Is that tangible enough to marry her with? Meaning, even if Yisrael does it. We're not talking about a kohen who takes trumas and ma'aser avada he can marry. He gets his trumas from a Yisrael. He could take that and marry a woman with it. That's not a problem. Right? But can a Yisrael do it because of the Toivas Hana? So Ula says Toivas Hana is not money. So therefore, it's not. If it's not money, then l'chayra you should not be able to be marrying a woman with this. So the Gemara says, Eisvei Rav Abba, the Ula, Rav Abba asked the Gasha Ula from our Mishnah. It says, now, the only thing, he doesn't have a right to eat the Chumas and Maisus and all these things. He just says Toivas Hana, right? The benefit from it, not the actual thing. And so then why? So in our Mishnah says that she's married. So it's a kasha on Ula. Amralei. He said, Hacha. The Mishnah is talking a unique case. Yisrael should not like tevel mi beis avi imay kohen. Yisrael has his mother is a kohen, so his grandfather is a kohen, and he yarshened his grandfather from his mother, who's a kohen, and he yarshened all the tevel from his grandfather. Meaning a kohen also has to give trumas and maisus, right? So he yarshened it, but it wasn't separated. Right? Because Savar, matnos shel matanos shelo yehumu kimishu u'medamer, and we hold that matanos, even though they were not yet separated, we look at it as if it's separated. So since we look at it as if it's separated, so then it's really this yid who yashined it from his grandfather who's a kohen, right? And since it was separated, so Memela, the stuff that he yashined from his grandfather is no longer tevel, right? And
One thing I would say very simply that he just Yarshin Truma.
Oh, Rashi asked that kasha. Very good. Rashi asks, why don't you just say that he yashin the truma? I think it's Rashi that asks it. Yeah, the bottom line in Rashi. Right? Right, then he says that's too pasha the case. Right? So basically he yashin the whole thing from his tevel from his grandfather, who was a kohen. We look at it like it's separated. So therefore it's as if he's being Makadosh and Ish, and then he takes his money because it's his. And he's Makadosh and Ish, even though it's Trumas and Maasros. Right? Meaning he can't eat it.
Was a kohen or not a kohen? That
He's a Yisrael. The Anakel is a Yisrael. The Anakel is a Yisrael.
The kohen, that Zaydi was not a kohen.
Yeah. Zaydi was a kohen.
Okay.
The grandfather's a kohen. It was the grandfather's tevel. So the grandfather also the kohen also has to separate trumas. He could keep it for himself.
Here we have,
He could keep it for himself. Don't worry, Rachamim. He can keep it for himself. Don't get scared, right? And so this Yisrael is yarshining his grandfather. Even it was tevel, right? But we look at it. He's going with the shita that holds that we look at it that it's whatever the 40th, 50th, or 60th is already considered separated, right? So Mamela. Now it's the grandson. Now he's not allowed to eat this truma because it's truma, right? But he is allowed to sell it. It belongs to him, so he's allowed to sell it to a kohen, right? I don't know how big a market he'll have for it, but he could try and make a few dollars on it because it really belongs. It was his grandfather's that belongs to him, and now he can be makadosh and isha with it. That isha is not allowed to eat it. She'll also sell it. But that's how it is. That's how the case was, right? But according to Ula, if a Yisrael decides to go be Makadosh and Isha with his tevel or his trumas that he separated, it doesn't work. Fine. So, 4 lines up in the bottom. So this is just a different version of the Gemara. It says, is Taivas Hana, again, the kickback that a Yisrael will get for giving a kohen his trumas or a levi his ma'asos, right? So there's a taivas another. So is that tangible or not? I'm like to Nisu, I'm a kaddish with truma, b'ma'asos, u'matanos, b'meichadas, ve'bevara, is a raising with kedushes from our Mishnah, Afili Yisrael, and even Yisrael. So I'm a levi, l'havu kim to be social, nothing like to follow me based on my kohen. You can't bring a raya from our Mishnah because our Mishnah is not talking about your standard case of just taking your trumas and ma'asos and marrying a woman with it. Right? It's talking about where this guy Yarshin from his mother's father, who was a kohen, a whole complicated case. Right? So you have no raya from our Mishnah. So Amar Lei, Hutza'at. You're a Hutzah. So Ichsif, he got embarrassed. Husavar Mishmaitza Kamar. He said, Hutzah, get out from the Shmaitza. I mean, he told him, get out of yeshiva. Right? He asked him a question. He slugged him up from our Mishnah and he said, Hutzah, get out. Right? So he thought he kicked him out. Amalei, no, Hachi coming. Now, this is what I said to you. Rav Asi, the Hutzel, Kai Kavazich, Rav Asi, who comes from Hutzel, goes like you. Right? Meaning, so he was calling him a Hutzel, like, oh, you have the same shitas as Rav Asi from Hutzel. But wasn't that shot that he was kicking him out. Right? Okay, it's fine. So name a katanoi. Let's say that it's a machlokes tanoim, right? Whether taivas hana is mammon or not. So hagoynev tivloi shel chaveru. So let's say a guy goes and he steals the tevel of his friend. The tevel again is the right when the stuff gets gathered. So it's before trumas and ma'asos are taken off. So somebody comes and steals it from him. How much does he have to pay him back? Right? So Mishalim doy to make tevel shel chaveru. He pays the entire tevel. including the Chumas and Maisras. Right? Rabbi, that's what Rabbi holds. He only has to pay the Mechulin. Because the Chumas and Maisras, well, he stole, it really belongs to a Kohen. Right? Yeah. Meaning, what's going on here, this is talk about a scam. Right? The Ganav goes and he steals unchumas and unmeisered grain from a Yisrael. Yisrael comes to him and says, okay, you stole $1,000 worth of grain. The Ganav tells him, I'm not paying you back $1,000. I didn't steal 1,000 from you. 10% goes to the Levi, and let's say 1/50th goes to the Kohen. Right, so I only have to pay you back, let's say $850. I'm just throwing a number out there.
What do you mean? But then the guy has to give Truma and Meister on that.
Correct, but which Kohen gets it? Which Kohen gets it? This is the part that's the lumdus. It's not a lumdus, but the scam that the Ganav could pull. Which Kohen is going to come to me? He's going to say, I didn't mean to give it to this. You're not the Kohen that this Yisrael planned on giving it to. He was playing it with the other Kohen. It doesn't belong to you. And each Kohen, you say, Anima, Maitzi Mechaver Olavaraya. So Mamela, none of them could collect from this Ganav. You hear this? You hear this winner of a Ganav?
I don't buy it.
Yeah, you don't buy it, which I'm saying.
He has
to give the first sheet 100%. It's none of his business what the
so that's Shitas Rebbe. Rebbe holds you have to give it back. And he's what you stole 1,000, you got to give him back 1,000. Rabbi Yehuda holds no. Again, let's just make it clear. Rabbi Yehuda holds you got to pay back the tevel that you stole from the Yisrael. The Chumas and Maisis is not the Yisrael's. It belongs to the Kohen and the Levi. Okay, so you don't pay back to the Yisrael. Good, so then give it to the Kohen and Levi. The first Kohen that comes along, he says, no, it's not yours. It's the other Kohen's. The other Kohen comes and says, it's not yours. It's the other Kohen's. Meaning each one of them is a Matzah Mecharel.
Yaakov, let's say you were to go ahead and lose. Ganef loses the tevel. Would you even mechuyev the full value according to Rebbe?
No, according to Rebbe?
Yeah. What he's saying now. Because it doesn't make sense. It's not. That's not. When you shots up something that if somebody steals something and the din is even goes on the thing that you stole, it's the value of it. It's not valued at $1,000. It's just not on the open market. Nobody's paying $1,000 for something that has Truman Meiser inside. So even according to Rebbe, you wouldn't say you'd have to pay the full value. That's not the May Gezel is not $1,000. It's just not. That's not the value of it.
I mean, it depends how you look at it.
How else did you look at it? Wouldn't you shots it based on the market value? When somebody steals something or breaks something, you base it on market value, no?
Correct. So you're saying.
So there would be varying. So according to Rebbe, would there be a difference whether I'm returning the actual object? That's what I'm not understanding. Is there be a difference between returning the actual object or if it's Demei, it's Demei Gezel?
Right. No, I hear. I don't know. Yeah, I guess we'll wait for the bovers for this. No. Where is this Gemara? Where is this Gemara? No, we only had an Adorim. It's not. I don't know. Anyways, but that's the machlokes. So now the Gemara is going to go through 5 different ways of explaining this machlokes. Again, Rebbe holds that the guy's got to pay back the full tevel. Rabbi Yosef says he doesn't have to pay back the full tevel. He only has to pay back the chulin. So Gemara says, "My labakam what's the machlokes? The marsav toivas hana moment. One says toivas hana is money. So he stole, meaning the guy that he stole from has a right to give it to whichever Kohen and Levi he wants, and he'll get a kickback. Right? Again, I'm not sure kickback's the right word, but I'm just trying to bring out the point. Meaning there's a
whatever.
He has a schus, right? So he has a schus, so he'll get a schus from it. Umar Savar Toivas Hana Einamam. The other one says it's not money. So if it's not money, he didn't steal it from the guy. So the one says Loi Dekuli Ama Toivas Hana Einamam, and everybody holds Toivas Hana is not money. Like we said before, it's talking about where Tevel fell to this Yisrael from his mother's father, who's a Kohen. and matana shaloi hurmu kimishu humor damik. So the machlokes is matnas kahuna, right? Like trumas, meisus. Do we look at it as if it was separated even before it was separated? That's the machlokes. Marsavar, right? Rebbe says, kimishu humor damik. It's as if it was separated, and if it was separated from the grandfather. So Mamela, who's he stealing from? He's stealing the trumas and meisus that this Yisrael yarshin from his grandfather. Therefore, he has to pay back the full amount. It's not as if a truma was taken off of it, and therefore all this grandson yarshin was tevel from his grandfather, which means that the trumas and meisus part of it is not his. So that's number 2. Number 3, everybody. What?
Tavis worth $1 million. Come on. Zev's Mechutton's father died 2 years ago. My son-in-law's, his Mechutton's, the Mechutton's Bobby, this 80s mother gave food to the Satmarov in Bergen-Belsen. That was the only thing he would eat because she had specific. So this Zaidi, from the time he was 7 years old, after the war, sat next to Rabbi Yoelish on the Mizrach Vand, and Rabbi Yoelish used to play with him during davening. So what's that worth? That he had free entree. He had 70 years until Rabbi Yoelish died. He had total entree into Rabbi Yoelish whenever he wanted. No.
That's a good toivasan. That's a good toivasan. No, right? Yeah. That's exactly a good example of toivasan. No, right? Okay, the next terrace is it's as if when he yarshins the truma, meaning truma is as if it is removed right away. But toivas ana ain't a moment, and toivas ana is not moment. Okay, so then what's their machlokes? With Shmuel, we're having a machlokes in Shmuel. Damar Shmuel, chita achas beteres sakri. Can one, meaning with the slightest amount of separation, give to the kohen, meaning even 1 grain of wheat, is that considered truma? Right? So Damar is like the Shmuel. Rebbe holds of Shmuel. So therefore, the guy could say, listen, you stole $1,000 of wheat from me. So one little kernel I was planning on giving to the kohen, the rest it belongs to me. So B'meila, the guy has to pay him back. Umar Leslie, the Shmuel, the other sheet, holds, no, we don't hold the Shmuel. So therefore, the guy has to take off much more than that. Right, 40 or 50, 60th. Fine. Teretz number 4. Everybody does not hold the Shmuel. I know time of the Rebbe. Why does Rebbe say that the crook has to pay everything back? The Kansur Rabban Laganav. They gave a knas to the Ganav. Oh, right, Rabban, you agree with that one. This guy's a crook. So what, we're going to make him gain? We're going to make him gain and say, oh, no, you can only pay back minus Trumas and Meisus, and then it's a Maitim Mechaber al-Varaya on all the Kehanim, so you don't have, so what, this guy's actually going to gain. So they made a knas. They're saying, really, Rabbi's saying, yeah, he doesn't have to pay it back, but we're going to give a knas on him. Well, yeah, so because of that, they give him a knas. Everybody holds a shmuel. Time, meaning that 1 little grain. So now, why does Rabbi Yehuda hold? He doesn't have to pay back almost the entire thing. The Kansu Rabbanon lebal habayis. No, he holds. No, we'll give a knas to the balabas. He shouldn't have waited so long to separate trumas and meisus. Meaning, this trumas and meisus should have been separated before this crook came into his field to rip him off, or to his house, or to his silo. Meaning, you're supposed to, like, Baruch Hashem, there's lots of people that take, the minute they get a paycheck in, they separate. Obviously, it's not the same thing, but they're meiser ksafim. They have a separate bank account. They get in $100, they immediately take 10 and put it into the meiser account. All right? This guy didn't do that. That's why this crook got to his trumas and meisus. So when we're giving him a knas for not doing that, fine. They're going to ask the kasha of kaddish for truma, so when meisus and matnas, so when mechatos of every part and raise them b'kudeshes. Right? That's a quote from our mission. Va'al pi Yisrael. Right? And this is even the Gemara changed it. It should be va'afilu Yisrael. Right? Even if a Yisrael who doesn't really have a right to the trumas and meisus, and he's not supposed to be dealing with the mechatos and the efer para either, I think, right? So, but if they marry with using these things, it's work. So the minu, schar lodun, somebody takes a schar to be a judge, to be a dayan, din of betalin, his dinim are bottle, right? Because he has to be impartial. Yeah. Lahayid, if somebody takes money to be an aid, a do say betela. It's his aid, this is bottle. Lahazas, to sprinkle the Efer Chatas, Ulakadish, and to make it Kaddish, right? To take the water and be Makdish it, to add to the Paraduma, Meima Ara. The water is looked at like it's regular cave water, it's not Mayim Chayim, and it's no good. Efer Makla. And if he takes money to burn the ashes of the Paraduma, so it's as if he burned wood. It's meaningless. Right? So you see that you're not allowed to get hana from any of these things. If you're getting hana, meaning even making money, being paid a salary to do this is no good. Kol shekain, if you're using these actual things to marry a woman, right? So how could it be? One is talking about the schar of bringing the ashes and taking the water out from the stream. That's because that's not the ikar avodah. So therefore, that you can get paid for. Kan b'schar hazav v'kiddush. This is talking about where the taking schar for actually sprinkling and for being makdish the money, meaning the water, by mixing the water into the ashes. That's the main avodah that you're not allowed to take money for. Here it says, there it says to sprinkle and to mix it. So shmamina, that there is a difference, and that's what we get into the whole sugya of giving you time to pour the l'chaims. Right? We get into the whole sugya of are you allowed to take money to teach? Are you allowed to take money to be a chazan or to be a melamed or all these type of things? Based on this Gemara, really you can't. So we say, "Eis lasas lashem." Nowadays, you won't find anybody to do it, etc., etc. Okay, hadran Allah ish mekadesh. L'chaim. Yeah. Okay, good. Zok the Mishnah. We'll start this Mishnah and then we go from one tzaddik to another. One guy stealing tevel and trying to justify not paying it all back. Then we get another winner of a tzaddik. Zok the Mishnah. A guy tells his friend, go marry this certain woman. Now, what do you think that shliach does? He goes and marries her himself. I mean, it was love at first sight, right? Again, he said,
Yaakov, dating is a zero-sum game. Everyone knows that,
100%. All's fair. What is it called? When,
love and war.
Love and war, right? Isn't it? So it's some friend he is, which the Gemara is actually going to be medayik that. So I'm he says, go marry me this woman.
Okay, fine.
And he goes in the Mekadesh for himself. Mekudeshes l'sheni. The second guy's the winner. Right?
Doesn't the girl have a say in this?
She agreed to marry him. It's okay. A guy tells a woman, you're marrying me, and
Naftali, he brought a picture of the other guy. Instead of bringing a picture of the girl, he brought a picture of the other guy.
Yeah. He said, you're Mekudesh to me after 30 days. Somebody else comes and chaps her. Mekudeshes l'sheni. She's Mekudeshes to the second one. Bas Yisrael l'koyin. And if this is a Bas Yisrael and the second guy is a koyin, she could eat truma. Why? The Kedusha wasn't for till day 30. Listen, we see this, but you're allowed to
get engaged.
You're allowed to get engaged when you're not allowed to get married because we're afraid somebody else is going to jump her, right? So that's so you see, there's such a concept. Third case.
Did he do me'achshav u'shalach shleishim yom v'tziyachav?
What, me'achshav?
Is it me'achshav over here?
That next line right here, right? Very good, Akiva. Me'achshav.
No, I'm saying that it's not me'achshav. Then what did he do? In the first case, not me'achshav. What did he do?
He's just a fool, right?
No, it's something's chal.
No, that's what the whole thing is. But it's only me'achshav.
But then what's the chiddush? If nothing's chal, of course it's pasha.
Yeah. So we'll have to see in the Gemara. Yeah. So then me'achshav alach shloshim. Let's say the guy says, "I'm marrying you now," and after 30 days. I also have PTSD from this from school. Is also I just envision myself in the hallways of Darche and just like I don't know, maybe probably in the hallway for not a good reason. And I'm telling you, Mamish comes up. It's gonna be not tomorrow. The next day's Daf is gonna be. It's gonna be hard for me. It's gonna be Nefsi Milug. I forgot what
we have another one. Now this. Okay.
Sorry for sharing. I'm sorry. Thank you for being my therapists. But anyways. If he says from now and after 30 days, so this case is different than the second case. The second case was he says, I'm marrying you in 30 days. Right? Here he's saying, I'm marrying you now after 30 days. Right? He's a lamdan, this guy. So we got to figure out what does this guy mean. Right? Somebody else comes and is Makadisha within the 30 days. So now the question is, if it's from Me'achshav, so she's married to the first guy, but the marriage doesn't happen till after the 30 days. And then this guy came and she's not married till after 30 days. So this guy came and married her. It's within 30 days. So what's going on? So Mukudeshes, Mukudeshes. She's married and she's not married. Meaning she's married to both. Meaning if she wants to marry a third guy, she's going to need a get from both of them. And if she wants to marry one or the other, she's going to need a get from one or the other. Meaning she's attached to both. Bas Yisrael a Kohen, if this was a Bas Yisrael to a Kohen, or Bas Kohen li Yisrael, in both cases, she's not allowed to eat the Truma. Right? If she's a Bas Yisrael to a Kohen, or the other way around.
Would she be considered a Grusha if you're Megarish and then she goes ahead and stays married to you?
What do you mean, Al Tamachsi Grushase?
No, meaning a Kohen head is not allowed to marry a Grusha, correct? So if a Kohen marries her and another person marries her as well, and then let's say the Israel is Megarish, so then what's the din? Is she a Grusha mitzvah her staying with him?
Right. I hear, but because you don't know which maybe the marriage happened before the Gerushin, right?
Let's say the first person is Megarish,
right?
The Kohen is the second one,
right? Yeah, I hear you. I don't know.
He wasn't Mekadosh when she was a Grusha. He's only married to her and she's a Grusha because somebody else gave her a get.
I understand, but he's married to her.
The issue is to be Mekadosh and Grusha. He wasn't Mekadosh and Grusha.
Is the issue to be Mekadosh Grusha or to stay married?
He's not, but Rachamim, he's not allowed to live with her until the.
That's what I'm asking, right?
He's not allowed to live with either wife. I can't use the excuse, Akiva, that we'll see it in the Zekin because we're at the end of Nashim, man. We don't know the answer now. So we're going to turn around and go back the other way.
Is this? Did we say that? Did we come across this case? It's Kiddushin L'Chatzayin? Like you're Mashar in the Kiddushin?
We did have that case. Don't have no.
Is this being Mashar? I'm saying, is this a similar case of being Mashar in the Kiddushin?
Maybe. Is it Mashar in the Kiddushin? Sounds like that, but we have to wait. In 2 days from now, I told you, in 2 days from now, we're gonna have some fine Gemaras on this. Doing this times 100, like 100 guys did this. Whatever, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see in 2 days. Bez Hashem. Anyway, so the Gemara, let's just do a few lines of Gemara. So I'm the Chaver Tzeva Kadesh. Right, the guy says to his friend, "Go out and be Mekadosh for me." Tana, we learned on this. Masha Asa Asai. What the shliach did, he did, meaning the damage is done. He jumped his friend, and he married the girl. Ela shenag by minig ramos. We have to deal with him like as if he's a scammer, right? Meaning he is a scammer. That's all. What that means, I don't know. I don't know what that means practical. I don't know if it ruins his credit rating. Right? V'tanadi done. Right? And our Tana, halach nami, the katani halach beramois. When Our Tana uses the lashon halach v'kidsha. It meant that he went beramayas as a sneak. Right? He's a sneak. So then we're asked, in our case here, it says he says to his friend, right? Some friend. I guess it's his former friend. Right? Although maybe after he sees the lady, maybe he'll say, you know what, he's my buddy. Isn't that the story? I don't want to say it. Isn't that the story? There's a story in Brisk where somebody was supposed to be read to one of the Briskarov's daughters, and he said no. And he felt guilty his whole life that he said no to her. So a big Rosh Hashiva or something. Anybody in Brisk will know this story. So he came and he knocked on the door, and he said, "I want to ask you, Mechila, that I didn't marry you, or I didn't agree to date with you." So her husband, Briskarov's son-in-law, I think it was, yells out, "You're asking her Mechila? You have to ask me Mechila." Again. So I mean, what? Anyway, yeah. So that's what happened here. So anyways, but Maishna Anton Med Aleph now Nun Tesam Aleph, Maishna Hasam, and why there? Meaning the Mishnah we had a few blot ago, right? Where a guy asked the shliach, what was the case again? Oh yeah, he asked the shliach to be makadosh her, to be makadosh the woman, let's say in this city, right? And he goes and he's makadosh the lady to himself in a different city. We said that works because
he said
it was only convenient for the guy to marry her if he married her in that city.
He said good name, bad name, or something.
Correct. Very good enough told. Yeah. So how come there it says his shliach? So how come here he's talking to his friend? And in the case way back when, we say it's talking about to a shliach. So Gemara answers hacha rebusa kamashman v'hasam rebusa kamashman. And here we're saying a riboy, and there we're saying a riboy. Hacha rebusa kamashman. And here in our case is what's the chiddush? Ditana shluchai. If it was a shliach, hava mina shluchai hu dahavi ramai. Maybe when he makes him into a shliach, that's when he's considered a sneaky guy. The samcha daite, because the meshaleach, the one sending him, is samech das, that this shliach is going to do his job and marry this woman for him. Savar avadli shlichusi, he's going to do my shlichus. But if it's his friend, so he wasn't a shliach, it was his friend. He told his friend to go marry off, and then the friend, maybe he's not considered a Rama because the guy knows he didn't make him into a shliach. He just asked him to do him a favor. So you always take a risk. The guy maybe decided not to do the favor. In the other case, it's a chiddush. If he said to his friend, that when he's mekadesh her in a different city, right, then she's not mekudeshes the savar loy torach, because he's not going to be matriach. Meaning, the chaver, if it would say chaver, he's going to say, I can marry this lady because my friend asked me to marry her in this city. He's not interested in schlepping to this other city to this lady, so I'll marry her. Right? But shliach, who his job is to marry this lady, maybe when he said go marry this woman in this city, so the shliach should just say, the shliach should think, he just meant that that's where she is, but he would really marry her in any city. So Kamash Malon, it's teaching us it doesn't make a difference. Shliach, not shliach, chaveiroi, not chaveiroi. It's the marriage is going to work for the second person, and that's it. Okay.
They're all Ramoyim.
What?
They're all Ramoyim.
Mashmalan, they're all a bunch of scammers. Whether they're called shliach or whether they're called chaver, they're